All right, welcome back to another Japan Book Hunter. And a couple of weeks ago, we reorganized all of the horror on this shelf right here. And today, we're going to yank some and take a look at them. All right, we got stacks and stacks and stacks of horror, hibari, horror comics, manga magazines, horror movie magazines. What shall we pull here? We gotta have some Dracula stuff. And I always like myself a creepy baby. Dracula by Shintaro Gojima is amazing. I love this because the Dracula is just like a classic Dracula figure. And of course, a girl is going to get bitten and turned into a vampire. During the Halloween season, you gotta read something vampire or watch something vampire or maybe even dress like a vampire. Why not? Horrifying. And anytime I can find one, I like to have a creepy baby in my life. There we have a corpse and the creepy baby. Whoa, the guy's face flesh is gone. Face melted. Creepy people in the woods. Creepy people in the woods is always fun. But yeah, Tsunoda often has some creepy elements, some horror elements, and always has to throw in a little bit of sexy as well. Early Junji Ito in Halloween magazine, gotta get that. When you mention horror manga, especially in the West, everyone thinks of Junji Ito. This is the September 1992 issue of Monthly Halloween magazine. It ran from 1985 to, let's say, 1995. Pretty sure it was that 10-year period, with the inaugural issue being January of 1986. So they started in 1985 and then they launched in January of 1986. And this issue is rad because it has a Soichi chapter in it. And this is when Soichi gets a visit to his house from his teacher. Amazing. Of course, trying to find Junji Ito in magazine format is quite hard. Halloween magazines are amazing, but even very hard to find here in Japan. But I have about 9 of them up on JapanBookHunter.com, so head on over there if you are looking to fulfill your Halloween horror manga needs, my friends. Great. There he is in his classic candle crowned outfit and nails for teeth. Amazing. There's an effigy of his teacher that his teacher finds in the attic. Very, very spooky. And what else? Gotta have some Hino Hideshi because Hino is the master of all things horror. Moving on, of course, when you talk about Japanese horror manga, there's a few people that come up. Junji Ito is one, and Hino Hideshi is another. So, I was actually supposed to go and meet Hino Hideshi this month, this fine month of October. There was a special event organized. 25 people were allowed to go. You had to sign up for it. It was first come, first serve. And a friend of mine had won tickets but wasn't able to go, so he gave me his ticket to go to a signing and a talk by Hino Hideshi, but unfortunately, the master of all things body horror got sick and they canceled it 2 weeks before the event, so I don't even know if this event is going to get rescheduled. But while these are not going to be signed, I do have some amazing Hino Hideshi titles up on the website. This one is Fear Train. I love this one. This is about a boy who gets on a haunted train, which is obviously coming out of his brains. Everyone on the train is a creeper. This is Ghost, Young Girl, Mako. Ma means like kind of magic or black magic, and Ko means child. And this one is gruesome, my friends. Worms, dead frog, You can't have body horror without having creepy crawlies. And this is the Akuma no Shotaijo, or the invitation to horror, to black magic. Check out that splash page with that spider. That is sick. So, and the spider is there because his uncle was a gangster with a giant spider on his back. I've read so much Hino Hideshi that they all kind of blend together, but I believe that the uncle first appears in Panorama of Hell, but I'm not too sure. And the god, rest in peace, Umez. We'll get some Umez in there. What else can we yank here, my friends? There's a lot of stuff to choose from, but I think I'll go with the cursed manga fan. You gotta have some Umez in the mix. I found this weird, like it's almost like, you know, it's almost like a bunko edition, but it's a little bit bigger, but it's not a tankobon. I don't know if it's a bunko or a tankobon, but it's a little pocket edition, we can say. Hangyojin. Rad. Fishman. The only other time I've seen this pocket edition done was for the Ultraman Umez. They kind of did a little condensed version. This is Crimson or Red Spider. Getting a spider tattoo theme going on here. Old Umez horror is some of my favorite Umez horror. Of course, Drifting Classroom, amazing. He has many epic series, but his one-shots are rad as well. Ochazuke Nori is always a fun one. I'll choose one of these here. And Noroi Michiru is amazing. Ochazuke Nori. Ochazuke Nori, love his style. He was published in tons of horror magazines in the 80s, manga magazines, of course, in the 80s, 90s, 2-aughts. And this is Yokai Bako. Love the cover on this. The cover just pops. A unique style, bloody, gruesome. And the reason why I like this one in particular is because you get guides to the weird yokai from the story and where they are from. This one lives in a dirty tub. This one is washing beans down by the river. But in true Ochazuke Nori fashion, he makes them gory and creepy. Like, look at those weird kappa. That kappa's wearing a sumo outfit, or loincloth. And Kasa Obake, but a real creepy one, crying and looking to murder. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Noroi Michiru. And Noroi Michiru has had a couple things translated into English, which is pretty rad. This is Night of the Mars High School, maybe loosely translated. I forget what we translated it as, but that is, I actually have the postcard for this, from this release. I had the opportunity to meet him a couple of times. Wonderful person and very prolific. Bird in the mouth, creepy witches. Girl turns into creepy snake. Man decaying dead bodies with bugs. As you do, my friends. As you do. Kuroda Minoru. Kuroda Minoru is the master of the supernatural horror shojo genre, so we'll yank some of that there. We probably shouldn't spend too much time on every book, but someone else I do like a lot is Kuroda Minoru. Kuroda Minoru is most famous for kind of supernatural shojo horror manga, and these ones are rad. This is the Young Girl Exorcist, Young Girl Exorcist Continued. Great covers of the Exorcist girl. Curse of the Haunted Castle. I'm not too sure if I translated it as that exactly on the website, but what can you do? Cute shoujo horror with supernatural elements. And I really like this character, this girl from The Exorcist. This is one thing he does a lot in his manga, is he profiles each of the characters in the beginning so you know who's who as you're reading through. 90% of the stuff I'm showing here today was made for young girls, you know, tweens and early teens. So even the most gory stuff, even the stuff with some little bit of sexy stuff in it, that was all made for young ladies. But then, you know, people like me get all stoked on the horror. So it's not just for young ladies, it's for grown-ass men too. You know, one of my favorite horror mangaka of all time is Koga Shinichi, so we have to have some Koga Shinichi in here. And one of the kings of Japanese horror manga is Koga Shinichi, famous for the Eko Eko Azarak series, which was made into TV shows, movies. They redid the manga and made it the newer version of it. This is the Headless Girl. Great cover. Wah! Stabbed in the street. House Full of Clocks is always foreboding, as well as Spooky Girl in Hood, and of course, Murder Will Ensue. There we go. Another murder. Night is Scary. Yeah, there's some great titles. I probably have about 6 or 7 Koga Shinichi titles up there. And one more manga. This is The Cursed Manga Fan. And the reason why is because one of the stories in here is called The Cursed Giants, Tokyo Giants baseball team. Cursed Giants Fan, which was a Hibari Hit Comics release. Very, very hard to find, very expensive. Goes for like $120 to $150. But they did do a reprint in this collection of similar manga released around the same time. I'm not into baseball manga, but I am when it's cursed. Wow, dismembered. And there's some other stories in here as well. Creepy Girl. This is actually a great anthology. Some of the panels are a little bit small, but then you get these amazing big splash pages that makes it all worthwhile. Oh, getting into some occult. Awesome. Well, it's not standard horror manga, but Ero-guro is gross and horrific. So some Kago Shintaro, some Maruo Suehiro, Season of Hell, which I don't even know if we're gonna be able to show. All right, let's move on. I got a few more things to show you. I love me some horror manga, but I also dig the Ero-guro stuff. Hanawa Kazuichi, Maruo Suehiro, and of course, some Shintaro Kago. And Shintaro Kago is probably most known in the West for his art books and some manga that was translated into English, but his art books, I should say, sell very well. This one happens to be signed by the man himself. I got this one signed at an event that he was tabling at. And this is actually it was in 2024, December it looks like, because this is the exhibition card, the postcard from the exhibition, and of course signed here. I got a few signed books by him. And then also he was over here a couple months ago and came by to meet up with a customer of mine, see the shop, because I've bought from him a few times. I do buy from him directly, and his manga is mind-blowing. Very nice guy, never stops drawing, never stops putting out artwork. And this is a weird kind of, you know, fake Ultraman dude, some kaiju monsters going through the city crushing things, and gore, gore, gore. And this one is cities and infrastructure. Also, is it? Signed with, this is from an exhibition I went to in 2021. So there's a lot of stuff. I'll go to an exhibition, I'll get signed stuff, I'll get artwork, I'll hang on to it for a while, and then I'll pull it out of a drawer one day and offer it up to you guys, because that's what I do, my friends. But dang, the guy can draw. And I've actually been meaning to get a hold of him recently so that I could try to get some more original manga pages and illustrations from him. So keep watch, my friends. Maruo Suehiro. Yeah, maybe I should just show you the cover of this one. Paranoia Star, early 90s. I love this book. It's great. Maybe I show you one of the early splash pages, opening pages. But Of course, it gets wild in parts, and some of it is just difficult to show here on our fine YouTube channel. And this one I am not going to show. This is called Season of Hell. It includes manga by Waita, Hayami Jun, Kago Shintaro, and others. And I'm telling you, my fine friends, I'm just trying to find one page I can maybe show. This is not for the weak of heart or the easily nauseated manga fan, because everything in here is absolutely grotesque. And the reason why this is so popular and sought out by so many people is because it was fan scanlated in the early 2000s after it came out. And I think it just blew people's minds. It was so insane. And I find about 1 or 2 of these a year, put one up on JapanBookHunter.com. And we got to get some yokai stuff from Mizuki Shigeru, because Mizuki Shigeru is the master of all things yokai. Children's yokai guides, maybe take a look at one of these yokai encyclopedias. And we can't talk about just manga only. We also have to talk about some Mizuki Shigeru yokai. I've been trying to track down as many of his yokai guidebooks as I can, but also I've been tracking down some of the children's books that he did. So these are children's guidebooks to, it's an introduction to yokai of the world, introduction to all yokai, introduction to all things black magic and magic, and these children's books are just so fun. I love them. Here, let's take a look at some of the yokai ones. Hardcover. 2, some great color pages. Always a bit fragile because kids have manhandled them. And then 3, for the non-glossy pages, they have great print quality. Like the paper feel is great. The 2-color print is rad. The explanations are not too long, so it's not too text heavy because it was for the kids. And then, of course, he's done probably 100. I would guess at least 100 guides to yokai, to all things yokai, and this is one of my favorites. So it's got a lot of splash pages and 2-page spreads that were originally published in children's books and magazines. So that's why you have these adverts in them and stuff. Yeah, I really dig this book. And even the single color pages, very awesome. 2-color print pages, very awesome. Yokai of the Sea. Yokai of the Land. Yokai of Japan. It's just so encompassing. There's just so much radness in this one, but I really dig this. Remember, shipping worldwide, DHL, basically DHL only now, $35 for up to 2 kilos, $55 for up to 5 kilos. So a lot of my, regular customers, they make a fat box and save on that shipping. And I love me a 1980s horror slasher film, and the horror movies in V-Zone have lots and lots of that in it. And of course, during this frightening season of October, you want to watch some nice 80s and 70s or classic horror movies. And the horror movies, kind of 1984, 85, 86 range. I have all 5 of them here. I don't think they did a 6th. I think they only ran for 5. But Tales from the Dark Side, they always have lots of profiles of both Japanese and Western horror movies in them, which is always fun. Lots of gore, lots of death. So this is a fun, what would be fun is you get one of these, go through, pick a couple movies out, get them all up on your whatever streaming platform you're using to find them, and check out the mag while watching the movie. That sounds like fun to me. I do that with movie pamphlets sometimes, the vintage movie pamphlets I get. You get something like House, and then bust out your House movie pamphlet, kind of flip through it a little bit while watching House. Why not? And then another one that was amazing was V-Zone. I have V-Zone 5 and V-Zone 9 here. Let's check out 9. Metal Kids. And V-Zone also profiled horror movies, sci-fi movies, and It has movie posters and it has movie makeup. Some special effects stuff in here. Yeah, like stuff like this. How they did the special effects, how they do the makeup. A little bit more all-encompassing than the horror movies, but this is cool how they did the, what are those things called? Those blister pack, what's the word? What's the word, people? Say in the comments below. You know, when you get the splashing, shooting blood from the body. You know, like from a John Woo film. Rad posters. And finally, for the kids, a guide to hell. And finally, for the kids, you always have to have a guide to hell. I collect a lot of these Jaguar books and other publishers that were putting out weird books for kids in the early 70s through to about the mid 80s. And the Guide to Hell is an amazing one. And remember, it's for the kids. The holidays are not just about us adults. We have to incorporate the kids into them too. And what a better way to do so than to present your child with a gruesome, gory, and horrifying guide to hell. And remember everyone, JapanBookHunter.com is where we sell our books. Like, sub, all that fun stuff here on our channel because we're trying to hit 10K this year. We're on track to do it because of you, my friends. And Japan Book Hunter on Instagram, where we are posting daily and nightly, so that it doesn't matter if you're in North America or if you're in Europe, you're gonna see some of our paper gold that we have up there. And we have a Patreon page for $5 a month. You get early access to all of our live book drops, so you get to cherry pick from there before anyone else, and you get an exclusive video weekly. You don't like to use Patreon? Well, hop on over to the YouTube Japan Book Hunter Members Only Club, where you can also get an exclusive video a week and early access to our videos. And until next time, my fine friends, enjoy your spooky Halloween season, and matane.